many of our producers have registered additional shapes for their brands. So for example, for our LME, high-grade aluminium contract, you can deliver ingots, sows, and T-bars. And many of the producers want to make sure that as many shapes as they produce are deliverable onto the LME, so that many of those have been registered. So during the crisis so far, LME metal inventories in LME warehouses have increased, which is quite intuitive. Inventories have been over 2 million tons, and much of this has obviously been aluminium.
Most of the bauxite is imported in China from Guinea, Australia, and Indonesia. So India's requirement, because India is already having its own captive mines and producing about 24 million ton of bauxite per annum. So our imported bauxite requirement is hardly 2 to 3 million ton per annum, because of some refineries are facing difficulties in getting bauxite from the nearby sources.
We know based on what we see from our customers that some others are struggling with operational reasons at the moment, and in fact our estimate is that 2 to 3% of the world alumina supply could soon be curtailed. But if we compare that to the left, and we know that there's obviously quite a linear relationship between aluminium and alumina, our view is that unless aluminium production is further cut, we might even see alumina a bit tight. Not necessarily reflecting in very high price, but nevertheless the supply-demand balance is going to be much better unless some further cuts are going to be seen in the primary aluminium side.
This is the major question that comes into the mind, that how will the aluminium scrap supply chain be impacted? So, I mean, in most of the developed countries like America, Europe, and Japan, most of the developed countries are having very good hold on aluminium scraps. And almost they are using 40 to 45% aluminium scrap very effectively. However, India is totally dependent upon the import as far as the aluminium scrap is concerned. But the new scrappage policies launched by the government of India in 2019-20, this will definitely help India for motivating more on the recycling on the scrap, and will further reduce the dependability on import.
And we can see the anticipated surpluses already for the first 2 months of this year for all metals, but just highlighting aluminium, we had a sizable surplus last year, and it's likely we'll have a even bigger surplus this year. Smelters, although they're cash negative, losing money, are reluctant to cut production to match the cut in demand.
As far as the aluminium metal is concerned, it is the short term only, and long terms we can see a lot of growth in the aluminium industries. And I mean, the problem is not the supply side. Now the problem is only the demand side. The demand will be definitely hampered because of this pandemic, but it will be short term. Once this vaccine and everything will be I mean developed, then I mean the pace will be very fast. The development pace will be very fast. It may be we or it may be you.
My personal view is that yes, long term, I think aluminium is certainly a metal of the future. I think there's still quite a lot to do in the aluminium value chain to become even greener, because we remember that aluminium is very electricity intensive, and a lot of the electricity produced to make that aluminium is still not so green. I think there's a lot that will have to be done there so that aluminium really claims its place as a metal of the future.
Short term there are issues, and it will not be solved so easily. Some of the uneconomical alumina refineries and also smelter, particularly in China, may close down. But just you have seen that they have set up a 500,000 ton of aluminum smelter, and that will be soon coming in Yunnan province. So some uneconomical refineries and smelter may close down.
Short term, it's difficult because we don't know what the outlook for employment, for output, for earnings for a lot of companies will be. It's likely to be very slow. We had hoped it will be a V-shaped recovery, so just as fast on the upward leg as it has been on the downward leg.
in the current environment where prices are moving, margin calls are high, obviously you need to apply even more diligence when it comes to credit risk. So that is at least what we do at the LME, but as an exchange operator, that's very much business as usual, that we obviously need to make sure that margin calls are paid and contracts are honored.